Hi guys and welcome back to the WM32Football podcast. This week we are talking Save Our Season. We've picked 8 clubs from the Premier League and we're going to try and save their season basically. So Wes, we'll start with a team that you watched last night, not Tottenham, but Norwich.
Yes, yeah. Just a quick one on that. Norwich very impressed with them with the way that they played last night and got some really good young players. I know there's been a lot of talk of Max Aarons, who has been a fantastic player for Norwich over the past sort of 18 months and whatnot. Obviously winning EFL Young Player of the Year last year. And whatnot, and it doesn't surprise me the level of club that he's being linked with at the minute. Todd Cantwell is another player that played really well, similar mould to Maddison in the way that he plays. And yeah, I was really impressed with Norwich in the way that they played. They played some really good stuff. I think what they're missing at the minute is just that killer instinct in the final third.
Yeah.
Because defensive part of the pitch, defensive third of the pitch, middle third of the pitch, and even times in the final third, they were really good last night. They just needed that little bit of something. That maybe if it was Cantwell playing in 10, because he sort of played wide left, so if he was playing as a 10, because he's got that vision where he can pick a cute pass and things like that. So for me, Norwich, I would say they probably need a number 10 or a tricky winger, because the wingers that they had last night were okay. They didn't really look to beat our fullbacks, Aurier and Sessegnon last night. So I think they need a bit of a tricky winger, a bit of a pacey winger out wide. I know they've got Arnel Hernandez, who, when he came on, looked bright, but I just think they might need something a little bit different and whatnot. Maybe another striker as well. Obviously relying on Pukki quite a lot, and yes, he works hard for the team and everything like that, but and he was flying at the start of the season and whatnot. He's tailed off quite a bit, so maybe they just need a different option, I'd say, up top, and like I say, maybe a tricky winger and a cute midfield player for me.
Have you got any
Norwich
options for them? Any possible loans from a bigger club?
Well, I think
signings?
With Norwich it's quite an interesting one, because Daniel Farke, start of the season, has openly sort of come out, said that they're not going to be spending loads and loads of money, and if you actually look at the transfers that they've brought in, I think Sam Byron was like $500,000.
Yeah.
Got goalkeeper from Schalke on a free, couple of loans in. One player that I was sort of excited about and hopefully wanted to see in a Norwich shirt was Paddy Roberts. Obviously that didn't quite work out, and he's subsequently gone to Borough. So they might have to look down into the Championship and try and do some get a loan in or try and buy a player from the Championship. I think Jack Clark would have been a good option for them. Yeah. He's obviously gone to QPR, so there's nothing they can do about that. But I think that the model that Norwich have got with Daniel Farke, the German connection, and everything like that, they seem quite a few of their players that they've signed have come from Germany and the lower sort of parts of German football. So if that's a market that they know well, they might need to once again tap into that for sure. But strikers, I think, is going to be a big thing for a lot of clubs in the Premier League, not just Norwich. So it's going to be difficult for them to try and find a striker. Is it an Ollie Watkins who's on fire at the minute for Brentford? Is it?
I do have him as a suggestion for one club, which we'll come on to later, because he can play a range of positions.
Yeah, and he's also quite good on the ball as well.
Yeah.
Is it, again, Norwich, you're talking about that creative player in midfield, is it Ben Rama who's making the Championship look like his playground at times? Is it Eze at QPR? I know a QPR fan's going to kill me for that one, but Eze is ripping up the Championship at the minute, and there's talk of him going for more money than the young lad at Birmingham, that Jude Bellingham. So yeah, it's going to be very tough for Norwich, given the resources that they've got and the model and the recruitment model that they seem to have in place already.
Yeah, and it's not like they can't dip into that Championship market and not get a good player. We've seen Maddison come up quite well. We've seen obviously Neil Maupay at Brighton come up and perform. So there is little gems to have in the Championship. Moving to another club that came up last season in Aston Villa. Obviously, a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
They're apparently looking for a striker. Yeah, they got someone in a couple of days ago, but
it's
they're
been
not seeming to trust Codger up top.
No, it's a strange one for Villa. They went through a massive sort of change in emphasis in their squad over the summer. A lot of players went, a lot of experienced pros went as well, like Glenn Wheeler, Miller, Jedinak, and whatnot. So a lot of experience did leave Villa. Obviously, they got in Tyrone Mings, who I think was probably their number one target. And yeah, they spent quite a bit of money in the summer, and everybody thought, oh, it's Fulham 2.0 type of thing going to happen. They've done okay, I think, in games, Villa. So we know they rely a lot on Grealish and what he can produce and things like that. I think they probably do need another striker. You know, as you say, it doesn't look like Codger's fancied much, despite the fact that even he come in for quite a lot of money not so long ago. You know, they spent big on Scott Hogan when Bruce was there. Hasn't worked out at all. So Brentford are probably rubbing their hands together because they got a cushy 12 million out of that. So yeah, but then I think now this January coming around, what Villa have done is they've identified 3 sort of positions that they know they can. Obviously, with Heaton's injury, they've gone and got a goalkeeper. They've gone and got Pepe Reina, vastly experienced goalkeepers, won at quite a lot of things as well within the game. Danny Drinkwater, they brought in on loan from Chelsea. Although, given his performance against City, I think quite a few Villa fans want to send him back. But they've got, again, somebody with proven sort of Premier League experience and whatnot. So, you know, but he's got quite big shoes to fill because John McGinn's out injured. And John McGinn was so important for Villa. You know, his energy that he brought to the midfield and everything like that. And then, like you say, the striker they got in from Genk the other day. Obviously, don't know too much about him. So, you know, from a Villa perspective, they're obviously hoping he can come in and hit the ground running straight away. But yeah, I just think maybe another option up top because the centre forward Wesley, great first name by the way, is out for the rest of the season as well.
There is talks from taking Benteke back off of Palace. What would your ideas and maybe opinions on that be? He had his best time in England at Villa.
Yeah, and when he was at Villa, he obviously got his move to Liverpool. He's getting linked with other clubs as well. Sometimes when you get linked with a player you've had before, you almost, there's that thing of, oh my god, look at what he did for us last time, he was excellent, get him back, we'll bring him back to, get his form back, everything like that. But then you've got to think of you've always got to think about a what if scenario and a what if situation. So what if it doesn't work out if Benteke does go back to Villa, whether Villa can afford his wages is one thing because he's getting paid very, very well at Palace by all accounts. But what if it doesn't work out? Is then Benteke's legacy what he had previously at Villa, or is it what he might leave if it doesn't work out? So are the Villa fans going to remember him for the good that he's done, or actually he came back and it didn't quite work out at all? I know they've been linked with Olivier Giroud, who for me is one of the most underrated strikers in the Premier League. One of the best, I think, in the league with his back to goal, and bringing others into play. And if you look at Giroud's goal record as well, considering he's never been that main man, he was never the main man at Arsenal, despite the fact, he probably played quite a lot, but he was never that main. There was always talk of Arsenal needs to go and buy another striker, or Arsenal needs to go and buy another striker. And he's had the same at Chelsea, yet he's scored over 100 Premier League goals.
Yeah.
So for somebody that isn't the main guy, to have a goal record like that, I think is quite impressive. But again, I think Villa have got to be careful financially because not so long ago, I think it was actually last season when they were coming up, or before they came up, the summer, there was talk that they could have to sell Grealish just to keep the club, I wouldn't say going, but in a decent financial state, because they definitely overspent the year before. did Villa. So I think they've just got to be a little bit careful. Obviously, yeah, they know they want to stay in the Premier League. That's where the riches are and everything like that. But I just think they've got to be, I wouldn't say cautious, but just a bit careful in terms of what they do with their finances. But Benteke on loan, I don't think Palace actually want to let him go, because I'm pretty sure Roy in an interview recently had said, like, I don't know where this has come from. We're short on bodies anyway at Palace, so to let a senior player go, it would be madness. Because I think Benteke was linked with a loan move to France when Roy come out and said that. So it's one I don't particularly see happening.
I'm surprised none of them have gone to like a big club to try and push for a youngster to come out on loan. Like when Eddie and Keane come back from Leeds on loan, it was like, we don't want him to be in the first team yet. He hasn't proven himself enough. Yeah, he scored, I think it was like 7 to 9 goals out on loan, but wasn't getting starts because of how the Championship works with their loan policy.
Yeah.
I'm surprised a Villa or even a Norwich didn't go, we sort of need someone that can score goals and
I think
try that before he turned around and went, I'm going to stay.
Yeah, I think having seen bits and pieces of Eddie, he would probably suit Norwich more than he would suit Villa, because I think Villa need
someone that can build up as well. And
they need I think Villa need an old school sort of number 9, and I think that's why they got Wesley. Again, great first name. So I think that's why they got him. They need somebody that can play with. Eddie's more of a in the box type, and he would be perfect, I think, for Norwich.
Yeah, he was one of the people that I was thinking of for Norwich. But moving on from Villa and Norwich, we'll go up to the Toon and Newcastle after their brilliant 1-0 win against Chelsea the other day.
Yeah.
What are they going to do?
Well, they definitely...
What do they need?
Well, they pulled it back against Everton in 2 goals in a minute.
Christ.
I mean, that's definitely one... how do I tell my kids that Everton lost a 2-0 lead in the 93rd minute? Newcastle.
I'd say they need another forward.
Yeah, they've
been linked with a return of Rondon from China after the wage cap going to 45 or 47k for foreign players out there.
Yeah.
There is links with him coming back and going to Newcastle.
Newcastle, I think injuries haven't helped Newcastle at all. They've had a lot in a short sort of space of time, and I know there's other clubs that have injuries, and we're probably going to come on to one in a little while, but Newcastle, I think they definitely need a left-sided sort of wing-back. Obviously, they play 5-4-1 a lot of the time, so they definitely need a wing-back. Talk of Danny Rose, and I was speaking to a friend of mine actually after they beat Chelsea, and there was interest with Danny Rose, and I said, do you want me to drop him off, because he's not what people think he is, and he just said, yeah, gladly, because he's somebody. So I think they'd rather somebody than having to hoist somebody out of position slightly. Got Nabil Bentaleb in from Schalke. Spurs fans will remember him well. Kept Moussa Dembele out the side once upon a time, believe it or not. How, I don't know. But again, it's a body.
Him, it was the wrong club at the right time.
Well, Nabil come through and started bright, and then all of a sudden you go in, okay, yeah, you've had your spell, move aside and let the more experienced players play. Don't know what he was doing to Sherwood at the time, but Sherwood fancied him, and we got 15 million out of him for Schalke. But he's come in again, another body for Newcastle and whatnot, will help their midfield. So Newcastle fans, what are you getting? Well, you're getting a midfielder that is fairly tidy on the ball, but that's about it. A lot of sidewards and backwards passings, especially when he was at Spurs. Didn't really drive forward with the ball. I think Newcastle, the way they play, sometimes they need a ball carrying player. I know St Maximan does it a lot for them, and Almiron's got a bit of energy and a bit of pace, and he can do it. But I just think they might need somebody else to break from that those midfield lines, and then obviously centre forward, as we've spoken about, Rondon would be ideal. Knows the club, knows the fan base, the expectations of playing in the black and white jersey at Newcastle. Big, old-fashioned number 9. Newcastle fans love an old-fashioned number 9. It's what they crave.
I've got a name for you that wouldn't be bad. He wasn't brilliant in the league at Fulham, but was good. Mitrovic.
I don't know if they're taking back. Wages would be an issue because he's on very, very good money at Fulham.
Yeah.
Very good money. Temperament might kill him if he doesn't kill himself, because he has got that tendency to just fly off the handle. Would the Newcastle fans want Mitrovic? I think the Newcastle fans did quite like Mitrovic. It was just sometimes the petulant and the stupidness. Sometimes I think that just got the better of him, and then it was just, we might as well just let him move on and you know, reignite, restart, and re-kick his career. So and I think Fulham won't sell him at all. I don't think there's any money out there that would probably prize Mitrovic away. It would have to be very stupid money, and not long left in the window as well doesn't leave Fulham with a lot to
do.
And like I say, Mitrovic is the guy at Fulham. He's the main man.
That's
and
what we're saying. Get in.
I think if they get Rondon, but obviously if
Rondon
he's been linked again, would be ideal. But again, speaking to a friend of mine, it was like we were going through sort of strikers and like who would be about and who would be available, and it's difficult because there's not that many decent strikers about, and it's January, so the market's even tougher to try and get a striker. Again, is it a Giroud type? Because Giroud's probably the one striker that is looking and assessing his options. So Giroud would probably be one that would be touted about quite a few clubs, I would imagine. But yeah, Newcastle love an old sort of fashioned number 9, and you know, Joel Linton has come in and has done okay-ish. Hasn't really scored that many. You know, I think Newcastle fans are Newcastle are sort of relying on Carroll a bit more than perhaps they wanted to, and perhaps they thought they would need to. But listen, you know, Joel Linton might turn into a striker that will be the one that Newcastle want. It's just might take him a bit of time. Obviously, he's new to the league, he's new to the country, new to the city. He's probably still getting used to life in England, first and foremost. So that's
it's an even harder place than Newcastle because it is like a fishbowl up there.
Yeah, it's a one club. Yeah, it's a one club city as well, and you know, you're black and white up there. Like you don't really support any other team. You know, and the fans are, you know, passionate. You know, they want their team to do well, as all fans do with their clubs. You know, but yeah, I think Newcastle definitely sort of need to be looking at options for a striker for sure. But again, it's tough because there's not too many names that you can throw out there. They're going to be realistic for them. But no, they've done okay, I think, in the window so far. Like I say, left back, left wing back, and probably a striker for Newcastle.
Moving on to one of your old stomping grounds, Burnley.
Burnley, what a place! What a place!
It's been not the season. Last couple of seasons they've obviously dropped off from when they had a very high finish.
Yeah.
What do you think they need this season? And in January especially.
It's a difficult one for Burnley because they play a very, very certain way. They recruit a very certain way.
Yeah.
Not too many foreign players. Doesn't mean to say that they don't like foreign players or anything like that. They tend to go for tried and trusted. British players, decent pros, you could argue, and whatnot. I think they haven't done too well with loans, Burnley, especially from Chelsea anyway.
Yeah.
You know, if I look at the last sort of 3 loans they've had from Chelsea, especially, they've had Chalobah, barely played, Bamford, barely played, Drinkwater, barely played. I think Drinkwater, though, there's a lot of off-field issues and whatnot. So if you're looking at Burnley's squad now, they probably need a central midfield player. And again, a pacey winger out wide. Dwight McNeil has burst onto the scene, done fantastically well for them. Direct winger. Goodmanson's had a bit of an iffy time recently with injuries and everything like that. I know Hendricks played wide quite a bit. Lennon's been in and out of the side really since he came in. which is a shame for me personally anyway, because I love that. I love watching Aaron Lennon. He's my hero. He's my idol growing up, and whatnot. But again, I just think they need a little bit of something. Pace out wide, I think, is key for them. And Brady's been in and out of the team as well, with injuries. And Brady can provide a bit of quality on the ball as well from dead ball situations and even crossing the ball out wide. But he struggled to get into the team, and you know, you almost do. Burnley really need anything else? Maybe a centre half, but then the ones they've got: Tarkowski, Ben Gibson, who doesn't even get a look in.
Yeah.
Probably because of how well Tarkowski and me are playing. Kevin Long is there as well, so they're probably all right there. Like I say, probably central midfield. One that offers something a little different. You know, we were speaking earlier about Norwich needing that creative player in midfield. I think Burnley could do with it as well. Someone that can find that acute little pass and whatnot. But again, with the way Burnley are as a football club and the way they operate and everything like that, it's going to be difficult, because they're not one that will go and spend 20-25 million on that particular player. They'd rather spend that money on maybe 2 or 3 different players in different areas of the pitch. That they need a pacey striker. Well, Nahki Wells is out on loan at QPR, talking of him going to Bristol City. But I think they might just need a different sort of option up top. Mato Vidra doesn't really get a look in either. But then he's sort of in a similar way to Ashley Barnes. But then Ashley Barnes is ahead of Vidra in the pecking order.
Yeah.
And Ashley Barnes is a nightmare for any defender. I don't care what anyone says, because he's just all arms and legs.
When he plays against Arsenal, I hate him.
He's awkward. He's all arms. He's all legs, but can finish at the same time as well. So it's difficult again for Burnley with the centre forwards, because there's not going to be too many out there realistically that they're going to be able to get. Would they have Andre Gray back maybe from Watford, because it doesn't look like he's getting much of a look in. I don't know. And obviously Andre Gray did very, very well in his time at Burnley. You know, with the goals that he scored, especially in the Championship, getting them back up, and whatnot. And the way Burnley play it might suit, because Burnley sort of play the 2 up top, so him off a big man might.
Here's an idea. So we've got Rondon going back to Newcastle most likely.
Yeah.
Go Newcastle, take Dwight Gale.
Dwight Gale, interesting one with Gale. I think Bruce has said that he's going to stay. So, but then I think that's one again, bodies in and
if
around
they
the
were to
squad.
bring in another striker, I think they'd let him go.
Yeah, but then Dwight Gale for me as a centre forward is, I mean, if you're a Championship club and you get Dwight Gale in the building, you know you've got a good chance of going up.
Yeah.
If you want to stay up, Dwight Gale is not that centre forward that's going to help you stay in the Premier League. He does, like I say, very, very well in the Championship. Has never really cut it in the Prem.
Asked Liverpool fans about 6 years ago what he did.
Yeah, but again, that was playing off. It might work because he was playing off Glenn Murray at the time.
Yeah.
You know, big, tall centre forward. But yeah, Gale's never really convinced me in the Premier League. Convinced me lower down 100%, and whatnot, but has never really done it for me in the Prem. And I think there's always going to be that question mark over him. But the thing is, he's what, 28, 29 now, so
yeah.
It's got to happen for him at some point, and he doesn't look like he's coming on in games and affecting games for Newcastle at the minute by offering them something different. So I don't know, maybe like you say, a change in philosophy, playing style, and everything like that might suit him. But yeah, I don't think that's a bad shout from you. So fair play, well done. You've earned your money this week.
So we're moving on to your favourite side in London,
Chelsea.
West Ham.
Oh, I thought I had it then. Damn.
West Ham. So I was looking at West Ham because we weren't sure on what to do, if we were going to pick 2 teams each or go through all 8, which we decided. I was looking at West Ham. I was saying a centre mid.
Yeah.
A keeper.
One that doesn't have the same injuries as the keepers they've got on their books.
I know we've got our favourite man from MK, Big Ginge Dave Martin, but it's questionable.
He's been alright for West Ham really when he's
Until he played Sheffield United.
Well, the thing with that is I look at Balbuena and he was all over the shop. He didn't know what he was doing.
And then I said maybe a fullback because they're not keen on their fullbacks at the moment.
No, I think
even playing Cresswell at centre half last night.
Yeah, I think Moyes did that when he was there previously. Moyes was sort of set on a back three with Cresswell being the left-sided of the three to allow Masuaku to be a wing-back because he's not good enough to be a full-back and he's not quite a winger, so a wing-back sort of suits him. What do West Ham need?
I've got an idea for centre mid. I'm going back to China. He's 28. He's Brazilian. Premier League experience. Had his wage capped. Oscar. Creative.
Award-winning.
London.
Award-winning.
That's a poor joke from you. It's a very poor joke. And he's looking to kickstart his career because he is not happy in China.
Oscar, interesting.
He could go to an array of clubs.
Well, Oscar's earning a lot of money in China, as we know. Happy earning that because he's been linked with moves to Italy before, and he said, well, I'm not that bothered because I've got money now for my family, and my family are all secure. Do I see him going to West Ham? Probably not because of his wage demands.
There's going to be a wage cap in there. There's going to be restrictions on his playing time because they're trying to restrict playing time for foreign players over there to make the Chinese players better.
Yeah.
So would it be the case of him going, wages going to be capped, and playing time is going to be capped? Don't know what the lifestyle's like out there, if he's enjoying it or not. Could it be him going, kind of done what I need to do, I need a fresh kickstart, and London I know well.
Potentially, but then he could end up back home as well. I think Oscar's wages will be a massive problem for West Ham, and some of the players that West Ham have brought in are on very good money as well.
We're looking there, going to get rid of, it looks like Wilshire's going to MLS and into Miami, apparently. So
good agent, Jack Wilshere, that's for sure.
He's a good player on his day when he's not a hospital patient.
Yeah, I think the fullback issue is an interesting one because, like you said, like we've said, Cresswell's more operating as a left-sided centre-back. Masuaku's not really a fullback; he's more of a wing-back.
Not keen on Ryan Fredericks, the fans aren't.
No, and I heard somebody on the radio mention about Ryan Fredericks, and I said, well, would you want Zabaleta at right-back, whose legs are pretty gone at 33, 34? However, what do West Ham need? Well, a lot of West Ham fans probably want the owners gone.
Yeah.
Because now the atmosphere's turning toxic, all these promises that the West Ham board have given them, everything like that, and they've not delivered on any of them. You know, they were supposed to be, catching up to Tottenham. I don't know why they chose Tottenham. But yeah, apparently they're supposed to be on a level and on a par with us and
they're going for a small team in London first. And then
like I said, I don't know why they went with Tottenham. But it hasn't worked out for West Ham. Their recruitment has been shocking. Whoever said to sign Roberto?
Their forward-wise, like wingers anyway, have been decent. Going for an Arnautovic, Felipe Anderson.
Yeah.
Pablo Fornals as centre mid. How we ended up at West Ham, never know.
Yeah.
Talking of Tottenham, a player they could go and get out of Tottenham. You don't like him as a fullback, Kyle Walker-Peters.
I don't mind Kyle Walker-Peters. He's just stagnated.
He could go there, kickstart a little kickstart of his career again. 6-month loan spell. Come back and go, look, Jose, I've proven to you at a Premier League side.
I think there's a massive issue with the player and the football club at the minute. If I look back towards the end of last season with Kyle Walker-Peters, he was on the bench a lot. And in fairness, last season, Spurs were overstacked, if you like, in the right back position with 3, with Trippier, Aurier and him.
Yeah.
Trippier's form wasn't great. Aurier wasn't great whenever he played. So you're looking at it, Trippier was injured, Aurier was injured quite a lot as well. Then you go in, right, it's got to be Kyle Walker-Peters, it's your time. But we hoisted Foyth at right back, and all of a sudden everybody's going, oh my god, this is the second homecoming, like, what is this? So there's something not right with Carl Walker-Peters, whether it's attitude, mentality, which doesn't strike me as it would be, but it potentially could be. He needs a move, but there seems to be interest from other clubs, Southampton, Palace, especially, and I think the club are looking to sell him rather than loan him. He needs a move to kickstart his career, and it's a shame because when he has played, by and large, he's done all right. Now he made a bit of an error against Barcelona in the Champions League last season, but he come back from that, and that takes quite a lot of mental strength as a player when you're not playing every week. To come in, you're asked to do a job, you make a mistake in a massive game like it was, in a big stadium like that, and to come back and actually play quite well was you know, like I say, fair play to him, but he needs a move. Can't see him going to West Ham, and I don't think they'll be in the market for a right back now. I think that one will probably be in the summer, where they can almost reassess. But yeah, West Ham, I think they definitely do need some fullbacks. Centre mid, like you mentioned, but I think they need one that will play slightly deeper in. I'm not saying a holding or a ball winning midfielder like Declan Rice or whatnot. I just think they need a playmaker type central midfield player. Who that will be, again, you could probably pick 150, 200 names out of a hat and go, we'll have him. Obviously, they were heavily linked with Gedson Fernandes. They thought they had that deal done, and then he's ended up at Tottenham, and he looks a player as well, by the way. So West Ham were probably, I think the fans aren't happy that they've missed out on that, because it looked like it was done and dusted for him to join. But it's West Ham's, because Moyes got an 18-month contract.
Yeah,
so
there's no project or plan there.
No, but then, like I say, the fans are turning on the board. Moyes has got to come into a situation a bit similar to the one he come in before, where, like I said, the relationship with the fans and the board is toxic. Fans don't want the board there. Their recruitment of strikers, the West Ham board, has been absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, striker-wise, it's not been great.
It's been awful. Pellegrini had the head of recruitment, director of football, sporting director, whatever you want to call him. He's the one that sanctioned Roberto to come in, and he's probably one of the worst goalkeepers we've ever seen in the Premier League. And then he's been shipped off to Alaves on loan. I think West Ham fans are hoping that he stays there beyond his loan, because he's atrocious. And has probably cost West Ham in the time period that Fabianski was out, because now all of a sudden West Ham's confidence is shot to pieces.
Yeah.
And then managers change. He's having to come in, try and re-galvanise the squad whilst everything else in and around David Moyes is going on. Now I know David Moyes can only control what he can control, which is mainly what goes out on the pitch. But yeah, I think West Ham have got other issues that need addressing first, before recruitment. But they need to get their recruitment right, because the recruitment has been awful. West Ham fans could argue 10 years really, because for every Dimitri Payet and whatnot, you could have a list of 10 names easily that haven't worked for them. Definitely, they need a striker as well, by the way, and because Haller is
having a howler.
It's difficult for him again, because he's coming with a massive price tag and
asked to do
a lot. He's asked to link the play, and once he's done that, he's got to get in the box. And he's not the most mobile of centre forwards. So West Ham probably need, dare I say it, Javier Hernandez back as another option. But obviously he's just gone to LA Galaxy. But when they bought Javier Hernandez, you thought, right, different option as a centre forward, Fox in the box, will nick goals we were all hoping he would nick the little goals that he would at Man United and everything like that. But West Ham never played to his strengths, so that's why that signing didn't work out. But yeah, I think, like I say, for West Ham, it's difficult, because you want to try and sign a player and get them in for, say, a 2 or 3 year deal, but then you're going to outlast the manager.
Yeah.
Potentially. So what's the point really? I think West Ham have just got to try their best to get through this season, which is probably going to looks like another write-off for them. It seems they've had quite a few of them in recent years, and then they've just got to go again in the summer, just clear out some players that realistically shouldn't be there, and try and have a bit of a refresh if they can.
Yeah. Moving down south to Southampton.
Yeah.
This is another team that I was looking at, and I've got one name really as a suggestion because I think their forward line, other than Danny Ings, is poor.
Right.
Nathan Redmond stagnated. Danny Ings, I'm waiting for his legs to blow up because they're going to at some point this season.
Let's hope not, by the way.
Yeah, let's hope not, because England haven't got another striker either.
Yeah.
Cheers, Tammy. And Ward-Prowse is only good at set pieces, realistically, for his chance creation. So my suggestion as a forward man who can play across the line, we mentioned him earlier, Ollie Watkins. You're going to have to play a January tax, maybe an extra 5 odd million, 10 million possibly. But he could go in there and fix a lot of issues.
I think with Southampton, they've gone on. What happened against Leicester, and it's been well documented recently, was probably I wouldn't say as low as it's got for Southampton because they've been in administration, they've been in League One.
It's
but
close to
fairly recent times, other than that is probably as low as it's going to get for them because they got embarrassed that night, and there's no other two ways of putting it. But since then, they've come back. Ralph Hasenhüttl has changed the formation, similar style, but just changed the formation, few little tweaks. Redmond's got a free role now. Ings is bagging goals like you wouldn't believe. He's even sent Alderweireld back to Ajax on New Year's Day. And I think they're having a bit of a change up in their recruitment policy because I think they're wanting a British core of players back like they had not so long ago, which is why Kyle Walker-Peters is being heavily linked with them, and the fact that Cedric is running down his contract at the minute. So Kyle Walker-Peters goes in, can play right and left side, so fills a couple of gaps really for Southampton. But they've got some decent young players in there. You mentioned James Ward-Prowse. I really like James Ward-Prowse.
He's
I
good,
think he's a good
but
midfielder.
he's not creative enough.
No, he's a central. He's a central midfield player.
Yeah.
Is he box to box? Not particularly. Is he a playmaker? Not really. I think he does try to make things happen. Don't get me wrong. You know, as you mentioned with his delivery on set pieces and everything like that, which is an absolute joke, by the way. Sixpence FC, like literally. Where do you want it? I will find you, and whatnot. So. Yeah, forwards-wise, I think they've got Danny Ings, as we mentioned, doing really, really well. Shea Adams hasn't worked for him, unfortunately, and they spent big on him, and they were I wouldn't say pinning hopes on him, but hoping that he would produce. Shane Long, 33, runs about a bit. Goal records over the last few years have been awful. I think there was a stat not so long ago that he scored his last 4 goals under 4 different managers, so that says a lot in itself. Obafemi has been in and out, but then has popped up with a goal sort of every now and then. I think he scored a worldie against Chelsea not so long ago. And actually Redmond's goal against Palace wasn't bad, and neither was Stuart Armstrong's. But for me, Southampton, they've been heavily linked with the fullback. I would also like them to have a winger because it looks like Redmond's got that free role. So either a 10 to play Redmond wide or a winger. I know they've got Gineppo and Buffal and whatnot, but I think they need just that little bit more pace.
Neither of them have really proven much.
No, I think Buffal was flattered to deceive. Gineppo's been in and out of games quite a lot from what I've seen.
But it's sad to see what's happening to Southampton because I was reading an article. Where it was like the owner that was there, obviously she took over from my father who passed, and when she left, a lot of things started to go wrong for them. With people leaving higher up, and that's where you saw the dry up in the academy graduates as well.
Yeah.
Which is what they were known for massively.
Yeah, so they've had Les Reed go.
Yeah.
He's now at the FA. You've had Ross Wilson. He's gone to Rangers.
Followed Poch as well.
Paul Mitchell.
After that.
And whatnot. So, but Southampton are always patient. And they know that there's going to be some coming through at some point. So they are always patient. They probably have an idea of who's next. I think the last couple that have come through, you look at Ward-Prowse, Jack Stevens, who for me as a centre half is hit and miss.
Yeah.
Obafemi has come through there. Valerie played a lot last season, and whatnot. So they've got they've got quite a youngish squad with a sprinkling of experience in there. You know, Cedric's got the experience, and things like that. Højbjerg's quite experienced, but still fairly young as a player. So I think Southampton, obviously with their massive upturn in form, there's no worry really now from Southampton like there has been previously in other windows where they've had to go and spend really to literally kick-start their season. But I think in terms of their season perhaps needing saving, probably I'm going to suggest, like I say, a winger or a number 10, a fullback. If it is Carl Walker-Peters for, what's rumoured with 12 and 15 million, then I think that would be a good move all round. Potentially a goalkeeper, because I think there was talk at one point that Fraser Forster might get loaned or recalled, but I think Ralph sort of squashed that. But maybe a goalkeeper, because I'm not overly convinced by McCarthy or Angus Gunn at the minute. So they might just need some tweaks, I think, for Southampton, as opposed to being saved like some of the other clubs that we've mentioned.
We'll stay on the south coast. We'll go to another club that it does need saving, but there's a lot of things why. We'll go Bournemouth.
Yeah.
And their hospital patients.
Oh, listen, I'd hate to be in Bournemouth General or whatever the name of the hospital is, because it must just be full of first teamers at Bournemouth. They just need their players back fit, really, Bournemouth. I mean, I know we've got, they've got a good squad, and Steve Cook's probably going to get save of the season for his save against Norwich.
Unbelievable.
But they just need to get their players back fit. The supply line into Callum Wilson is gone. The players are just low on confidence, and everything like that. Interesting if they look at the option to try and recall Jermaine Defoe.
There's been talk of that.
I know JD's 37 now, but still has an appetite for scoring goals, which is what Bournemouth need at the minute. Solanke hasn't worked out at all.
Jordan Ibe hasn't worked out at all.
No, which is a shame, because when they went to Bournemouth, you're going brilliant, because they're young English players that, alright, hasn't worked out for them at a massive club like Liverpool, but they're going to take a step down and try and rebuild, I wouldn't say rebuild their career, because they're still quite young, but get a kick start and then hopefully play well, and then you never know what happens there. But again, like you say, it hasn't worked out for them, which has been a shame. But I think, like I say, they just desperately need bodies back. I think Jack Stacey's out injured, who when he has played has done all right for Bournemouth, really, considering not so long ago he's playing League One football, and Lloyd Kelly hasn't really had a look in, who again is a really, really good ball playing centre half. So if Nathan Ake does depart, I think Lloyd Kelly they're probably looking at a natural replacement there. Can also play left back, which is a potential problem area for them, because I know Charlie Daniels is injured and ageing. Diego Rico suspect, and that's putting it lightly. So the left back's probably an option for them. I think the midfield is stagnated a little bit. Jefferson Lerma has been okay since he's been, but not what we thought from when we saw him in the World Cup a couple of years ago. Goslin is a decent player, but hasn't really done much. Philip Billing's been okay, but like I say, Bournemouth just need. I think they're missing. I think they're missing Josh King more than they realised, because Josh King is a player that sort of knits things together towards the top end of the pitch. He's not really a creative player, but his industrial work that he does and his work off the ball actually helps Bournemouth out quite a bit. I think he's quite key for the way they press. He's quite key for the way they play in terms of playing through the pitch. And he pops up in good areas, always good for a goal as well. And I think they've missed him. I think Callum Wilson's missed him because Josh King used to get close to Callum Wilson when they were playing and things like that. And
their
because
partnership was very key.
Yeah, and because Josh King's good for a goal as well, it shares the burden then for Callum Wilson. And things like that. But there's so much pressure on Callum Wilson now to get the goals. But his supply line has been non-existent really, and that's why Bournemouth have struggled. If they do get Defoe back, then they might push and get out of the situation that they're in, but they just desperately need their players back fit 100%.
And then moving on to the last club on the list, they've had an upturn in form recently. It's Watford.
Yeah, went and saw them at the weekend, and they looked like land of the giants. By the way, Watford, their team is just like massive. Huge. Nigel Pearson has gone in and pretty much like to think he sorted them out. I know they've gone into the bottom three, but I think that they've got game in hand or whatnot. But they're playing a lot better than what they were, and everybody's written them off. And all of a sudden, Pearson's come in, made them hard to beat, and all of a sudden they've got a chance. But yeah, like I say, the players that they've got, I think Deulofeu was probably the smallest one on the pitch against Spurs. No coincidence that upturning form, Deeney's come back.
Yeah.
And the two centre-halves for Spurs couldn't handle Troy Deeney last week.
I don't think many players can handle Troy Deeney.
No, he's an awkward centre-forward to play against. He doesn't mind the physical side of the game, so as a centre-half, if you want to get physical with him, he'll love it. But then if you stand off him, he can play as well. I don't think many people realise that with Troy Deeney. He's not a bad footballer. But yeah, what would Watford need? Full-backs again. But then if I looked at Watford's back four Saturday, they had Mariappa, Cathcart, Craig Dawson, who can also play as a right back, and then Adam Messina, who's fairly tall. But yeah, Messina for me hasn't been convincing enough as a left back. I think that's why they've played Holebas, despite the fact Holebas is like mid-30s or whatnot. I think Kiko Firmini has played out there as well. But yeah, I think a full-back for Watford, but I think they've got some players there that they could do with shifting. If they can shift them, then that's the biggest thing. But yeah, and maybe a winger as well, because of the way that winger or a 10.
They've got a couple of players out on loan, I know, in Spain, Germany and Italy, like a few out there that haven't had work permits to come and play in England yet. If they get those work permits, I think those players will come back and improve their squad, because they've been smashing it abroad, a lot of their loan players. Yeah, well, I think the Watford owners are using their other clubs that they own to good effect, and it does chuckle me sometimes where you hear reports that a player from Udinese is in talks with Watford, because all it is somebody keeping the accounts manager busy and the secretary busy, because, well, if you're at Udinese or the Granada in Spain is the other club, so every player wants to play in the Premier League, so it's not the convincing of the player to come and play in the Premier League. So is it the personal terms? Well, that can pretty much be agreed. But yeah, it just chuckles me sometimes when you hear that these players are getting linked, like are in talks with Watford, because they just go, it's just moving players and moving money about really. Exactly. So I think they did buy a winger from Udinese, like I say, keeping
the person in accounts,
Very
busy, and the secretary. But yeah, I think maybe if they get Will Hughes back in the team, that would help potentially. But then they've got Capu in there. Decore, who's playing further up the pitch and is now looking a completely different player. But yeah, I think if they got Will Hughes back, that would help because he's a tidy footballer, and would help the way Watford play, and give them something else. Pereira can play as a 10 or out wide, but I think he prefers to play out wide, so they might need somebody to go play on the other side because I think Deulofeu likes playing off the left as well. Striker wise, probably need something similar to Deeney because it looks like that's the way they're going. So that would be that for Watford, but I mean Nigel Pearson has given them a fighting chance of staying up.
And a lot of people are going to hate me saying this, but I'd say he's had a bigger impact at Watford than any of the managers that have come in recently to any Premier League clubs. He's had a better impact than I'd say Jose has because he's lifted the players. I'd say he's on a par with how Arteta's done because he's lifted the players. Carlo Ancelotti really hasn't lifted anyone at Everton. They're not you'd think his game management would see out a 2-0 win against Newcastle. The players just seem to
They went all AC Milan on him, as we all know from that Champions League final. I think Ancelotti's almost still feeling his way in at Everton. Which is strange because it's around a similar time, or maybe not that long, between him and Pearson coming in. Pearson, what a job he's done. And like you say, he's probably on a par with Arteta in terms of impact at a club straight away. But the thing with Pearson is he's had 2 managers worth
of rubbish to sort out.
I wouldn't say, but mess, shall we say, to try and fix and whatnot. And you know, Jose, that's another time. That's another topic, I think. But yeah, Pearson's done a great job at Watford. Like I say, tweaks rather than a massive save like the other clubs. Maybe some defensive reinforcements a little bit. Maybe a younger goalkeeper to come in because the two they've got have got a combined age of about nearly 85 or something because they've got Gomez and Foster.
Foster turns up 2 games a season.
I know, Tottenham at home and Tottenham away. It's ridiculous. Tweaks for Watford, but yeah, I think the way they're going, they'll be all right. But then they've got Danny Welbeck on the sidelines as I'm sure you'll know, as a shock horror. But Welbs could come in and give them something else, give them something different. So I don't think there's too much really in the way for Watford.
Welbs is fit. He isn't a bad forward.
No, he's all right. His goal record for England as well is fairly decent.
It's a question who's going to play up front for England this summer.
No, it could be him if he gets his act together. Yeah.
Okay, guys, thank you for tuning in. Please comment on what players you would send to these clubs to help save their season. Subscribe to the channel, listen on Spotify, and tune in next week for a very special podcast. See you later.